Hello, hello, hello. Welcome in anybody who's available and want to come on. Hello. Let's talk about this movie title here. And we're going to tie in some scripture. Hello. Just waiting for a few people to show up. Greetings, you all. Today is Thursday. Hello, hello, hello. Come on in, whoever is available. Stop by, let's chit and chat it up. Let's come on and talk about this just briefly. Stop by and sit for a while and let's discuss that title there. You see on the thumbnail, it is misunderstanding was there. And I want to talk about the misunderstanding in one of the clips of the movie. Not going to talk about the whole movie, but one clip I want to bring some attention to. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. I'm going to get started as you all come on in. Thank you for your time. My name is and thank you for stopping by the channel. We're going to chit and chat it up about Mr. John Coffey there in the movie. And that particular scene that I want to highlight or bring some attention to is when he was summoned to the bedside, or particularly his boss thought that he would be a good fit to go and see Melinda. His boss knew that Melinda was suffering from a tumor, and he had already seen some demonstrations from John with some prison mates and other people in the community, especially himself, the prison guard. So he wanted him to go and see Melinda to see if he can help her out. And it turned out that he could. But thinking about this character, John Coffey, he's a tremendous character that Stephen King placed in his script as far as pulling on the human spirit and a true constitution to the human will. John's presenting himself as to be a meager person, and some may call him a simple man. And the way we hear him speak and his demeanor, his posture and all, you may have a tendency to say, yeah, he's pretty simple like. Now, what I want to say about that, I won't say it right now, but let's move further into that. Thank you all for coming in to the live, and let's discuss this character in The Green Mile, John Coffey. When John goes in to see Melinda, she's stretched out there on the bed, and when she pays attention to him, she stopped raging, because you can hear her from them being downstairs. When they walked into the house, she was yelling and cutting up. And when John starts entering the stairway, her husband is saying, no, I don't want him to go up there. And John says, stop. He already knew what was upstairs, not necessarily just the woman, but what was upstairs and what was troubling this woman. And he was quieting the house down, telling the husband to quiet down. Let me take care of this. So when she lays eyes on him, she immediately, when he entered the room, she cursed him out. You MFer. Okay? Keep that in mind. After he draws closer to her, maybe the demon spirit started subsiding, getting quiet. Then more so after the demons came out, you see her face glow in the movie, and here the demon spirit supposed to be an exorcist performed on her, and they're leaving her body. Now this part is what I wanted to point out, is that after she has been cleared or healed from the demons, how she approaches him when she gets out of the bed. She said, I saw you in my dream. I met you in the dark. I was there in the dark and you was in the dark. Now, she remembered him from her dark space, her dark place. And when we look at this in a spiritual context, this is the human position. As far as Christian doctrine, we all have a dark space, a dark understanding. It's our old nature. If you don't subscribe Christian, this is not for you. In the Christian doctrine, it calls us an old man and a new man, a dark nature and an enlightened nature. In the transformation of conversion, we come into light, a lightened understanding. So this is where this movie is depicting her transforming from her place of a dark understanding or a dark nature to an enlightened nature. And she tells the man, I met you there. Now, he was not there, of course, but that's where she met him. In her understanding, she was dark and he came in representing the light. So what is seen, or the misunderstanding, as in the title, misunderstanding what is there. He represented humbleness, meekness, but that couldn't be seen, especially the husband couldn't see that. She didn't see that when she was in her dark nature, her dark understanding. She could not see him as being a symbol of light, being meager and being humble. That's what most people normally miss other people. Especially when you are in a dark place, you don't see the person of light. You misunderstand them and give them strange labels because you clearly cannot see, and that's innocent. God says that he will take the foolish things of this world and confound those who call themselves prudent and wise. Because God does not operate according to worldly systems. What I want to go to is 2 Kings and pull something out of 2 Kings. Sort of tying into this same message of misunderstanding what is there. So I'm in 2 Kings, and we're looking at chapter 5. And chapter 5 starts off with Naaman. Naaman is a captain, and he works for the king of Assyria. And we understand that as a leper. And after the Assyrians attacked the nation of Israel, and they captured some people and took the plunder, here's a young Israelite lady that Naaman takes into his home to be his servant. She noticed that he's a leper and mentioned to his wife, I know somebody who can help him if he's willing to be helped. So Naaman, naturally, he's curious and he takes her up on that offer. Now let's move forward with that. When we get over to verse 10, because he goes to Israel and he's told to search for Elijah. That's your point of contact, Elijah, the prophet. And in verse 10, and Elijah sent a messenger unto him, saying, Go and wash in Jordan 7 times, and thy flesh shall come again to thee, and thou shalt be clean. But Naaman was wroth, and went away, and said, Behold, I thought he would surely come out to me, and stand and call in the name of the Lord his God, and strike his hand over the place, and recover the leper. Are not Abana and Pharar, the rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? May I not wash in them and be clean? So he returned and went away in rage. That part right there. When he came in expectation, because Naaman is a captain, he's high up in command. So he has certain expectations of prestige and privilege. He thought that Elijah, because Elijah did not come out to him, he sent a servant of his. And normally people in high positions, You want to talk to other people who's a leader of something in high positions, somebody who's in authority. Let me talk to the manager. Let me talk to the CEO. Let me talk to your boss is normally the conversation. So he had expectations. Let's talk to the man. And then after he find out what river he's going to, because it's not really a river, it's more like a stream. We're talking about the rivers in Israel. Why wouldn't you send me to some bodies of water that's cleaner, a whole lot better status and shape than this little stream? He gets this upset. Now he came all this way, went through all this trouble to be cleansed, his skin to be cleansed of this leper. He evidently wanted help. But the means of receiving the help, he rather just become enraged and walk away because of his expectations, misunderstanding what is actually there. Help is there, is what's there. But his understanding, his perception of what the help needs to look like was disappointing in his eyes. So after his servant, in verse 13, and his servant came near and spake unto him and said, My father, if the prophet had bid thee do some great thing, wouldst thou not have done it? How much rather then, when he has said to thee, Wash and be clean? Then went he down and dipped himself 7 times in the Jordan, according to the saying of the man of God. And his flesh came again like unto the flesh of a little child, and he was cleansed. He had to be talked down out of his pride to turn around. Sir, it shouldn't be that important what bodies of water you was asked to dip in. If you have confidence in this man, wouldn't it be worth it? Talking some reason into him. And we see that he followed suit. He received his cleansing. Now let's go forward to verse 16. But he said, As the Lord liveth, before whom I stand, I will receive none. And he urged him to take it, but he refused. He wanted to pay Elijah for the healing, and Elijah turned it down. And Naaman said, Shall there not then, I pray thee, be given unto thy servant 2 mules, burden of earth? For the servant will henceforth offer neither burnt offering nor sacrifice unto other gods, but unto the Lord. So now he's become a converter. He believes in Israel's God because of this miraculous act that has transpired upon his body. Going back to this movie, John Coffey, the true testament of the human constitution, pulling on the human spirit. Many times, people have to be made to be a believer. We'll start off one way, interacting with each other on surface level, because we can only see what we see, we only hear what we hear. But many times, it's the interaction with each other, where you come to know a person and experience something with that person or through that person that can make you a believer. Look back at John Coffey when he came into the prison. When he first met his boss, the boss was standing at the back of the prison cell or the jail and waiting for John Coffey to get off the wagon that they brought him in on. And when he finally laid eyes on him and John Coffey drew near to him, he said, Are we going to have trouble with you, big fella? No interaction yet. Just looking at him, looking at his size, and he's a prisoner. Then after these people get to know each other, he's gone through a couple of episodes of seeing how God, or maybe he don't see it as God, something is happening through this man's life. Because he himself received a healing, right? The prison guard. And toward the end of the movie, before John Coffey is executed, this boss turns a whole 180. And his statement is to John, Do you want me to let you go so that you can run and see how far you can get? So now he's asking the prisoner, what is your wishes? What do you want me to do? Because now he's having empathy for him. trying to walk in another man's shoes. God calls people or Christians, we have to show up in the land. Even though people will misunderstand you, they will mislabel you. They don't even want to see you in their presence a lot of times because of maybe your appearance, maybe the way you speak, maybe the way you laugh, all type of things. People can have a bias toward it, not necessarily a prejudice. And it can be a prejudice without being discrimination, just a misunderstanding because of lack of interaction and lack of understanding. That's where we all can be. We can mistake and misunderstand each other. But how do you show up? You got to stand up and show up in your authenticity. No matter how somebody else views you, just stand the way God made you and what he called you to be. He will cause people to see you the way he wants them to see you. And many times it can be in due time. You may have to wait a while. They may just have to misunderstand you for a while. And what that while is, I don't know. You wouldn't know. That's God's business. It can be a test of your faithfulness before God. It can be a test of your commitment and your loyalty before God. Are you going to stand? Are you going to fold? Will you compromise? Just stand in faithfulness to God and let however he's going to move through you, it's his spirit that's moving through you. If you're a yielded vessel, let it show up. Because he can do mighty things to convince the lost, to convince those who are operating in darkness. The world is dark. The Bible says even the atmosphere, the very day is dark. And it's influenced under the God of this world. So where else can a person be but in darkness if they're there until their conversion comes? How can people see God if we are wearing the light but we hide it under a table, under a bushel? The light have to be set up on a hill. Just like let your light shine in decency, integrity, and honesty, being the true person that God made you to be. John spoke in such, I would say, simple ways that even the prison guards, when they came in contact with him, interacting with him, they started to humble down all of them. He gained a heart of all of them except for one guy who eventually John gave his demon spirits to, where he got those demons out of Melinda. He held on to him, he didn't cough him up, and they had to put John on the back of the truck because those demons was making him weak. He was saving them up, and got back to the prison. And that one guard who was giving him a difficult time, he opened up his mouth and he spilled out those demons or that evil spirit into this other man. And then it took on a turn where the prison guard shot somebody else, another prisoner. Just a series of events that happened there pretty quickly. But how this character, I thought it was a beautiful story how Stephen King developed that character and presenting him as a gentle giant. And how you can move incognito, just showing up in your own flesh. How you're presented, whatever flesh you're in, whatever tone you're in, whatever complexion you're in. God will hide you in plain sight. People are looking at you but don't know what to make out of you. So they rather sometimes just lie on you. Fabricate, make something up, just spin a story and put it out there for whomever they want to lay that story out to. But God will show up and present you the way he wants people to see you, again in due time. I want to show that story because Melinda made a 180 with John. He was an MFer before he approached her and drew those spirits out. At the end of their interaction, she gave him a charm, a necklace, St. Christopher. Now, you don't need charms and necklaces and bracelets and rings or gems or whatever you need, whatever. You don't need that. Even if you got that, you don't need that for safety. You have the Lord Jesus Christ, Holy Spirit, and the angels, the heavenly hosts, very real angels. They're for safety. But she hugs the man and told him, I was dark. You helped me. We met each other. She calmed down and received the person, received the spirit of the person, embraced the person, truly seeing the person. You can start off not seeing and begin to see. God will give you eyes to see. But this is the eyes right here, not our physical eyes. These eyes can misinterpret a whole lot of things all the time, every day. When God opens your eyes, now you can really see and take in another person and not judge them so harshly and be so mean and contrary toward them. Because first of all, you don't understand God. And neither can you. God have to give a person eyes to understand him. All of us. That's just the way God moves. So, looking at 2 Kings, I came from 2 Kings with the story of Naaman. He had an expectation that was disappointing. He had to be talked into receiving what was there so he can get what he needed to get. Thank you all for coming in. And those of you all who come into the replay, thank you all for your time also. And hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, share the video out if you see fit. I hope that I've added some value and some encouragement to somebody today. Be authentically how God made you to be, because that's when God will show up in your honesty toward him and your commitment toward him. God has a world to reach, and he reaches them through me and you. Let him reach.